Hi folks, thank you for joining us for another session of Open Sessions, for another segment. I'm psychologist Dr. Paris Monroe. I'm here with my wife Cheryl Monroe, theologian, and we'd like to discuss some more interesting topics regarding God. So,
Yes.
one of the questions that we got, one of the points that comes up often in counseling, because so much of our counseling has the God component in there, do we believe in God? One of the points that comes up fairly frequently is why do some people, many people, not believe in God? You know, I'm sure that point comes up to you many times. Why do some people, many people, not believe in God?
Well, they've never even tested to see if he would do what he says in his word he will do. Do they open up the word? Do they study it every day? Do they forget study? Do they read it?
Yeah, so in other words, they don't believe in God because he didn't jump out of the sky and wave his hands in front of their face and say, here I am, so therefore they really don't believe that he exists at all.
And I think a lot of people that think that way, many people do not believe in God, they've really never even tested to see if he would do what the word says that he will do. I mean, he's not going to rain down blessings all the time. And so, where's God for me? Well, he's not a Santa Claus, you know, that gives out whatever he wants to everybody to make them happy for an hour.
So if he did, I don't know. But yeah, I believe that many people believe exactly that. If they didn't see God, hear about God, walk with God, see him, speak to him, something like that, then they really just don't even believe that he exists at all. It's just, you know, these people that go to church kind of believe in God somehow, but you know, these guys, many people don't go to church and their life is every bit the same as anyone who does go to church and believes in God, so what's the sense of believing in God? So I guess that they just really don't.
Well, I don't understand that kind of thinking, but I know you're right. But how did this all happen? You know, if there isn't a God.
Well, they feel that it's always been here, and it'll always be here. Yeah, it's always been here, and it'll always be here. But it certainly will be. It was here before their lifetime. It'll be after their lifetime. So that's all they know, and that's as far as they think about it.
I think into the first part of the Bible, in the beginning, God. I mean, I know it goes on, but in the beginning, God.
Sure.
And
but
who else can explain all of this? What else would?
Well,
there has to be a beginning, and there has to be something that began it.
Well, there's many theories. There's many theories on that, and they believe all sorts of stuff. The Big Bang Theory, though they can't explain it. You know, well, what's his name? I can't even think of it. The person with the evolution thing. God, I can't even think of his name right now. 1800s.
Darwin.
Darwin. Thank you very much. Thank you very much out there in the audience, Mr. Darwin, who I can't think of his first name, but nonetheless. He was one with the evolution that we, you know, what's this, from the goo to the zoo to you, right? I mean, you know, that we all started off as slime in the water somehow, and we evolved into animal world, and then we evolved in the human world. Of course, then the big question is, how did the slime get into water, and where was the water, and so who started all of that? So Darwin's theory does not cover all. But you know, people believe in all sorts of different things. Some people will not believe in God because they never saw God. You know, and then my point with them is, then what about the blind man? Does that mean that because he never saw God, that he can therefore never believe in God and can never go to heaven? And of course, that kind of stops that argument right there.
But another thing why people don't believe in God is they've never even put it to the test. I mean, when I didn't always believe in God, but I got sick at one point and was to the place of death, and I had to understand if there wasn't a God, what in the world was going to happen to me. And so I spent 8 months, 8 hours every day studying the Bible. I didn't know anything then. But I spent all of that time, 8 hours every single day, and for 8 months. And you know, after that much time, into it, putting him to the test, because I had fear. I had a lot of fear, you know. And all that fear, I was afraid to drive, I was afraid to eat. And so I couldn't even eat because I'd be afraid that I would choke. And so with all that fear, I had to either know that there was a God or I was going to die without one. And it was scary, so I had to really dig in deep to find out if it was true for me.
But you had, you tried, if I remember right, you tell me, that you tried many other, when this fear came over you, you tried many other remedies to try and get well. Psychologists, psychiatrists, medications, that sort of thing. I don't know what else you might try.
Oh, and then I lost my, at that time, the big pill, or the pill to take was Valium.
Well, yeah, the medication.
And I lost my bottle once. And I went frantically around trying to find that bottle because I thought I would die without it.
That was, that was your savior at the time, was the bottle, is the Valium.
It's exactly what saved me, and I had to do something without the medication.
But nonetheless, when you couldn't find a bottle or when you lost it or something, I assume you eventually did find it. But I think you also came to the realization that these pills are not going to
Ever cure me.
Ever cure you.
Nope.
And so then after that is when you, as so many people, as a last resort, turn to God.
Right.
Because nothing else worked. And then they find that that does work.
And with as much fear as I had in those days, years ago, I forget, 70s, a long time ago.
70s, 80s, whatever.
80s, early 80s. You know, if I had to get to the point where it was so bad that I only had to look up because there was nothing else left.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I spent 8 hours every single day for 8 months studying.
That's typically
and it changed me.
That's typically what happens with people is they try everything else first. They try the fast, quick, easy thing first, medications, and possibly some counseling, yoga, whatever, you know, things that are readily available. For some reason, they don't want to go to God, you know. So, but finally, when they find out that this don't work and this don't work and this don't work, then they have no choice, like you said, turn to God and get into that a little bit. And then you found out, lo and behold, it does work. That's the one thing that does work. The medications, we can take the medications for years and never get well. And I see clients like that, and I know you do too. I see clients like that every day who've been taking medications for years and they have not gotten well yet. The medications are not going to heal you.
They subdue it a little bit.
Well, temporarily for that day, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But then the next day, we're right back in it again, just like we were the day before. And so after a while, so I assume therefore these people are thinking that that is their cure, that they'll never be well, that they just have to take medications every day.
Right.
You know, and they take them for another day, week, month, and a year, and it never goes away. They're not really connecting up on the dots yet. The logic of that the medications really are not going to cure them. And especially when you go to the doctor and he prescribes you this medication and you try that for X length of time, and then you come back and the doctor asks you, so how you doing? Oh, I'm not doing good at all. Well, let's try this medication. What do you mean try? You know, we don't know, so we're going to try one and try another and try another. I don't know how many clients come into it and they feel like they're a guinea pig of some sort of experiment from the doctor to try any medication that he has on the shelf. And you know, and just keep them going, But do they ever get well? No. Are they sleeping good? No. Do they have stress, anxiety, panic attacks, that sort of thing? Oh yeah. Have they stopped? No, they have not.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why a lot of the clients end up going to self-medicating, alcohol, marijuana, drugs, something of that sort. And they're going that route instead of the prescription medications because these they can get, you know, how difficult it is to get alcohol? Not at all. Right, they can go anytime and get the alcohol of their choice, their favorite flavor, as much as they want, anytime they want, no prescription necessary, no appointment necessary. And does that work? For many of them, it works a lot better than the prescription medications do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the big question I always want to know, always ask all the time, because people are filled with anxiety. What is anxiety? Unanswered questions, unsolved problems. And so many people come in with anxiety. They can't sleep at night, toss and turn, bad dreams, wake-ups, Obviously, the PTSD crowd out there, the ones that have been traumatized, the ones that had some sort of PTSD, traumatic event happen on the battlefield or on the highways for the civilians. And they are in quite a twist now of, wow, they saw death up close, they could have died, they did see death on the battlefield, they could have died too, and now all of a sudden they have this great big wake-up call. What is this life all about? Why are we here? What are we here for? What are we supposed to do? What happens when we die? And they do not have those answers for those questions, you know. And because of that, their anxiety does not end. Their brain is searching for those answers all day, all night, and it is not giving them any rest at all until they come up with the answers. But they don't realize that they need to answer those questions. They just have those things running around inside their brain, not letting them sleep, got the insomnia, and they are being driven basically crazy because of lack of sleep, poor sleep, lack of sleep. So many of these people are only sleeping 2, 3, 4 hours a night if they're lucky, and this has been going on not for a short period of time, for years. It's destroying their health. They can't sleep. You have to sleep good in order to heal. They are not sleeping good. They are not healing. Whatever medical problems they have are getting worse, and new ones are coming along all the time. Some of these people are in really bad shape.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing as always, unanswered questions, unsolved problems. If they had the answers to the questions that were bothering them, they would be well. But they don't even know what the questions are, much less what the answers are. So therefore, the problem continues. Are they on a bunch of medications, alcohol, marijuana? Oh, yeah. Is it helping?
No.
It's getting them through the day. They'll get them through the day, but not very successful. The big issue is, why are we here? What are we here for? What are we supposed to do? What is this life all about? Here we are today. One day we shall be gone. We will die. We don't know how, we don't know when, but we will be.
And a lot of people too, I think, is that they had somebody they really loved and they passed away. And so from that point on, they don't know how to deal with life because they saw how quickly life can be taken away. And not only that, those that, I worked in a hospital at one time, and to watch people suffer, you know, from mostly aged, you know, people is what I worked with. And but we see life, we watch it, we see the downfall in life, and people try so hard to overcome that, not even deal with it. So they take medication, whatever.
Oh, yeah. And it's very scary, too, because, you know, as I like to say, that they had this wake-up call where someone near and dear to them died.
Right.
It could have been suddenly, but not necessarily either. It could have been a long, prolonged death through the hospital, illness, that sort of thing. But they were close to that person, near and dear to them, and when they died, what now? This great big empty void in their heart, this person that they loved, that loved them back, they were real close, is gone. Now what do they love? How do they go on? All these questions and no answers, and that can stick with them for a long time. I know we're talking about mourning someone's loss, but so that exists. How long does that mourning go on? It can go on a long time, but a lot of times they say if it goes over 30 days or something wrong. I don't like to hear that. You know, I don't go along with that. It's this person was near and dear, and they died suddenly for whatever reason it is. That can affect that person for a very long time until they finally get the answers to why are we here, what are we here for, what happens when we die.
Right.
See, we got to get those answers, and they're not easy to come by.
I can remember I was a teenager and somebody I was close to died. And that was so hard for me. Why a young person like that? You know, just beginning, and a good person. She was a really good Christian girl, and went to church and everything. But, you know, God took her on a head-on collision with a car, boom, gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so you wonder about stuff like that, but God knows what He's doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we don't have all the answers, but He does. And so you just like with that, my friend dying, you know, I had to get to the place where I knew she was a Christian. She was young, but she was a Christian. Matter of fact, she started me into church. And so she was fine. She was fine, but I just couldn't understand why God would allow such a horrific.
Well, possibly at that time, but, you know, I think God too will give us answers to all of that.
Oh, I think he does, especially the older, you know, I was a kid, so I didn't know a lot at that time.
Because the more we know about this life, what this life is all about, why God created this life and so on and so forth, the more that we can answer all of those questions, and it is not that difficult at all. But it requires us to study, like you say, in the Word, getting close to God, and we get this new understanding about things that we would not have gotten any other way. So those wake-up calls like that are good, because they take us off the path, the track that we were, which is just basically happy, fun times and stuff like that, which is fine. But there's some serious things that have to be tended to too. And it all involves this death, dying, and killing thing. When people are near and dear to us that are going to die or did die, it really opens up our eyes, just like what you're saying. How come it happened to this person? How come it didn't happen to me? It could have happened to me. What happens next? All those questions with no answers keeps us in that state for a very long time. Are there answers for those questions? Of course there are. Of course there are. There's answers. Every question has an answer. We may not know what it is right now, but we can find out what it is.
I think that I would not even be alive today if that wasn't true. I mean, you can't go very long in life without eating. And I had so much fear, I was afraid to even, I thought I would choke on a pea. So I would squeeze out the inside of a pea because I had so much fear.
Sure, fear of dying.
Dying.
So you wanted to do everything. And this is what so many people have, a huge fear of dying because they don't understand this life, what this life is all about, what's it all about, and they don't understand it, and so therefore they have, understandably, they have a bunch of fear because they know that their life will end someday and they don't know how and they fear it greatly, so they do everything they can. They avoid traffic, they avoid choking, they avoid all sorts of interactions, they stay home, they're homebodies, homebound. They don't want to go out or anything. They don't want to take any risks or chances on anything. It's a terrible way to live, and they can live that way for the rest of their lives.
For a long time.
Because if they do not find the right answers, if they don't get help finding the right answers, they can be stuck in that prison forever, and it's a horrible place to be. Horrible place.
And I do thank God that I went through that.
To learn the things that you learned.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be the same person I am today because it forced me to find answers. And I did. I don't know if I already said this or not, but 8 hours every day for 8 months, I was studying the Word of God, and it changed my life.
Because you tried this and it didn't give you the answers, and you tried this and it didn't give you, and you tried this and it didn't give you the answers, but you tried this, God. And by golly, it did give you the answers.
And that's exactly true. If without doing that, I don't know that I would be alive today. Probably not.
Okay, with that, we're going to have to end. Thank you so much. We're going to have to end this session, this segment of open sessions. And thank you all for joining us. And we're certainly looking forward to getting together again soon and going over more of these topics. Thank you very much.